כנגד כל הסיכויים השגנו ניצחון גדול לליכוד. השגנו ניצחון גדול למחנה הלאומי בראשות הליכוד. כמה תעצומות נפש נתת לי.
All right, and a big kiss for the wife of the Prime Minister. Welcome back, folks. Congressman Lee Zeldin, New York Republican congressman, joins us from the first CD in New York, former U.S. Army intelligence officer and federal prosecutor. Hello, Congressman.
How are you, Steve?
I'm doing well. Well, I guess we're both very like-minded and pleased on the results from the elections in Israel.
The Israeli people have spoken. There's a clear winner with Herzog acknowledging defeat a little bit earlier in the day. And I think that, ultimately, while the other side, the Obama administration had many different, about 12.5 former staffers, leaders from their campaigns active over there to try to oust the prime minister, I was getting asked about, who do I endorse, who do I support, what do I want to see happen, and I was very careful to say that it's up to the Israelis to decide who they want leading their country. This was about the Israeli people. There was a huge turnout, and they spoke loudly and clearly. But they wanted to give the Prime Minister another opportunity to continue serving.
Well, let me ask you this, and I want to get to outside influence in a second in a letter that you and Ted Cruz co-authored. But let me ask you this. Herzog very plainly said, I trust President Obama to work out a deal that will be safe, will be good for Israel with regards to Iran. Do you believe that this was a referendum, at least in part, this vote on Barack Obama, and that he once again, like he did in November here, lost badly?
Well, I would say this. I mean, there are people who came out with different priorities. Some people were voting just based on the economy in Israel or housing or the latest ethics attack. There were others who were coming out because they prioritized national security, and they believed that the Likud party and Prime Minister Netanyahu are best prepared to lead Israel. So I think it really depends on the individual voter. However, you certainly can't diminish the significance of the message that was sent for those who came out prioritizing national security in determining what the best path forward was. And obviously, the U.S.'s negotiations for a nuclear deal with Iran is on the top of a lot of people's minds, not just here in the United States, but especially in Israel.
So, and it was rejected.
Oh, there's, it is very obvious that the president is looking to cut a deal with Iran just to cut a deal. Iran knows that they have all sorts of added leverage because the president would look at cutting a bad deal possibly as even being better than no deal at all. While this whole thing is going on, in Iran, a state sponsor of terrorism, is blowing up mock U.S. warships. They overthrew the government in Yemen.
Yep.
As I said, they're a state sponsor of terrorism, and whether you're in the United States or Israel, especially if you're in the Middle East, where the president may be triggering a nuclear arms race, there's no doubt that people are seeing through these negotiations and what the consequences are.
So is it fair to say then that it was a partial referendum on Obama's policies with regard to the Middle East and Iran?
I would say for those voters who are coming out for that purpose, absolutely.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, kind of like here in the United States, where we have people who come out to vote for different reasons. It's clear that it is on the minds of Israelis what is going on with these negotiations, and obviously, as we were reading a lot about in the hours and days leading up to the election
Absolutely.
in Israel. There's also the debate with the Palestinians and what the future of the peace negotiations should look like. So, but yeah, for a lot of people who came out, that was a top priority.
All right, let me ask you this. You wrote a letter with Ted Cruz to the Secretary of State about a group, a nonprofit group, the American nonprofit OneVoice Movement, which you believed was maybe receiving funds that they shouldn't get and going to Israel to work against Netanyahu. Now we find out that they filed, after that letter, they filed for new IRS status. We have a minute. Where does that whole thing stand? The Senate, I believe, is going to investigate.
Well, I mean, the purpose of us sending the letter to Secretary Kerry was because we had questions. We asked 8 questions in our letter at the end of January, and the Secretary sent us back a partial response to some of our questions. Their responses actually led to some additional questions. As you pointed out, just a few days after we had sent the letter, OneVoice ended up filing a 501c4.
All right, so we got to cut to the chase, Congressman. So let me ask you: do you believe that there's still something here that something was done illegally or unethically here?
The deeper that you dig into what is going on with U.S. 501c3s connected to the Obama team, the more that you will find out. There's a lot more facts that need to be brought to light.
Fair enough. Congressman Lee Zeldin, thank you, sir. Always great to talk to you.
Thank you,
We'll be
Steve.
back
Take
with
care.
Thank you. The Malzberg panel's next. Don't go away.